All right, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for episode number 36 of As the World Turns. That's right. So it's Monday, January 10th, 2022. And once again, it's Yankee Tea News, sponsored by Greenwich Stanford Tea Party Patriots. Now, there are a lot of places to start, but we'll go with an article about populism, war, versus corporate America. This is actually an American thinker back in December. And the author basically made the point that the way in which we could fight corporate America, fight big tech, fight all the censorship, is to lean on all the good things about populism. Now, as you probably know, Steve Bannon is one of the leading voices for populism. And populism is what made then President Trump say, well, he's still president, that's another discussion, say, I'm here for the forgotten man. Okay? That was what populism and still is all about. So it's bound up in a lot of conflict, controversy, and if there's one thing corporate America hates, it's populism. So I just want to direct your attention to that article, and you should definitely read it. An op-ed piece that I'm working on still needs some refining, but the basic idea is simple. The American corporate elites are destroying America, and it's worse than you think. Okay? And I'll tell you where it started for me. It's essentially a rumor, but it was an article suggesting that one billionaire named Paul Singer had got behind closed doors with Senator Manchin from West Virginia to beat him about the head and shoulders to get him to vote for the Build Back Better bill. Well, we all know how financially ruinous this bill would be. Mr. Singer doesn't care. He doesn't care who gets hurt. All he cares about is his money. So as I pondered this, then I began to remember what some friends of mine had told me. This one guy had worked on Wall Street, actually in the New York Stock Exchange, and he would talk with people. You'd be surprised at the number of rich folk who are making sure they have their bunkers ready to go all around the world, including New Zealand and Canada and South America, you name it. Any place that's remote and where they think they can be safe, they'll be there. So guess what? That means they're positioned to flee this country the second their dirty work has achieved its goals. All right? So those 2 points were enough to make me ponder. We got some things going on here. Throw in the offshore accounts, throw in the censorship against conservatives, and I think a pattern begins to emerge. And of course, the worst actor in that whole list, BlackRock. Anyway, next, tyrants do stupid things. This is part of our ongoing series. LAMONT to put COVID-positive seniors in nursing homes. Okay, Diane was a little confused when I first mentioned it. It's like, wait, didn't we hear this before? Well, guess what? We did. We did. And we also heard it with good old Cuomo, right? Now, the only difference here is that the total number that Cuomo killed was bigger than the number that Lamont killed. Only because Connecticut's a smaller state. But on a percentage basis, not a lot of difference. So the hot issue here is, what the hell is he thinking? And this is a moment where I want to speak up about we need to push back, okay? He's coming up again for extension of his emergency powers. We can't let that happen, all right? We're going to have to speak up on this. And yeah, that's right. I'll have more to say on that too. Now, the Sotomayor disaster. Anybody who has followed the hearings about the vaccine mandates before the Supreme Court knows the disturbing list of really idiotic comments that have been made by the liberal justices. Although, in all fairness, I should mention there was a piece. It could be fake news, I don't know. But it seems that Justice Gorsuch might have been a little too enthusiastic in his estimates for how many people died per year from flu. He had said 100,000 when it's half or less. So that's him. Meantime, you had, I believe it was Sotomayor, who had said 100,000 children were in hospitals around the country and many were on ventilators, etc. None of that was true. And it took Dr. Walensky from the CDC to come out and say, you know what, I'm afraid the justice got her facts wrong. And so she essentially set the record straight. And it's not 100,000 kids who are in emergency rooms around the country with COVID. It's more like 3,500. And then there's the question of what pre-existing conditions they might have as well. So, you got problems. Now, out of all the stupid things these people had to say, the one that upsets me the most was when Sotomayor, the wise Latina, had to say that she did not know the difference between federal and state powers. I can't even begin to absorb this. How the hell did you get onto the Supreme Court bench and not know this difference? What happened that you, in this moment, in this hearing on this issue affecting our nation, you had to disclose this to us? I just don't understand. But let's be clear. You're incompetent. You shouldn't even be there. You should resign. If you don't even know the fundamental distinction between federal and state powers on anything, out. Get out. All right? Next. Universities are forcing both professors and applicants to conform to the ideological expectations of the university. So all our complaints about how these universities are nothing more than propaganda mills are coming true, basically. So I'm really not sure what the answer is. There have to be places where we can push back, and hopefully I'll have some calls to action on this as I mull through this. But this is appalling, okay? It's fair to ask, what is our nation coming to in our highest institutions of learning have turned into, indoctrination facilities? It's just unbelievable. Next, election fraud evidence already disappearing in Georgia. Now, as you may recall, there was at least one woman who came forth as a whistleblower saying that she was paid $45,000 for doing mail-in ballot harvesting, and we know that that's illegal. So her confession was enough to trigger an investigation in Georgia. Seriously. Well, the funny thing, of course, is after the state of Georgia says, oh yeah, we're going to get to the bottom of this, suddenly evidence starts to go missing. How long before somebody stops them, if they ever get stopped at all? It is appalling. All right, moving on. Number 9. Okay, there was a pilot study. I don't have it in front of me, but the issue was, what is the impact of COVID and the vaccine on children between the ages of 6 and 12? And it should be no surprise that the evidence is that the vaccine causes more harm than the disease. Just a pilot study. They're just getting started, but at least it helps them to define what they need to know in order to ask more questions and do more research. Number 10. This would be a companion piece to number 6. 500 public school districts around the country announce that they're only going to hire, quote, woke teachers. Are you kidding me? All right, I would hope that the parents in those districts will scream bloody murder. I mean, we're hearing these stories about how parents are stepping up to the plate and they're getting elected to local school boards. But, that's only the beginning, okay? Because you've got the unions who function effectively independent of the boards, all right? So there's going to have to be some other set of rules, some other approach to this, where people cannot get away with this crap. Meantime, speaking of crap, Commie of the Week. Commie of the Week is Connecticut's one and only state senator, Julie Kushner. Now, okay, so we've never really heard of Julie Kushner. I think she's a state senator for the Waterbury area. Well, guess what? Remember good old Senator Blumenthal and that communist meeting he was at for the, quote, Amistad Awards. Well, they forgot to tell you there was somebody else at that meeting. That would have been State Senator Julie Kushner. And so guess what? When Blumenthal got in hot water, he said, oh, I had no idea I was at a communist meeting. I thought it was a labor event. Well, guess what? State Senator Julie Kushner said the same thing. I had no idea I was at a communist event, even though I run with my fellow travelers at every opportunity. These people are appalling. Now, the point was made that when you look at the face of the Connecticut Communist Party, it gives the appearance of being like typical liberal Democrats who are concerned about unions and labor and social justice. Okay, well, if you scratch the surface, then you'll find the thugs hiding underneath. Just wanted to let you know. Meantime, I want to throw in two, well, one is a plug and one's a pushback. The plug is for a new Facebook group. We're going to put up the link to them. It's called Connecticut Outrage. So, for example, they just put up a meme explaining that in Connecticut, the unemployment rate in Connecticut is 38% higher than the national average. So whatever lies they have to tell about how the Connecticut economy is doing, Connecticut Outrage is going to be there to help set the record straight. So guys, we are glad to see you around. Meantime, the League of Women Voters continues to engage in this, what do I want to call it? Not so much woke. It's the same standard deceit. That's my phrase. Standard deceit that you find Democrats using when they utter the word democracy. So they accuse us of wanting to destroy democracy when they're doing it themselves. That's the first problem. This particular get-together, League of Women Voters, is going to be about, oh, we've got to get together, we've got to gather around the fireplace, got to sing Kumbaya. No, I don't think so. We have a few issues here to sort out. So in any event, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much summarizes the evening. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we will see you later.